Menstrual imbalance. Like we women go through so much, right? Ever since our puberty, then menstruation, fertility, perimenopause, menopause. I mean, the list is like a train going there. But this is a very interesting and a very important topic for all the women out there. And we have Dr. Jeethu. She is an Ayurvedic doctor based in Bahrain, and she focuses on women's health, specifically women's health, and specifically on menstruation problems. So, welcome, Dr. Jeethu.
Thank you so much, dear, for having me here. It's really nice to be here.
Great, great. So tell us, so I know you're an Ayurvedic doctor, and you're focusing on women's health. So let's just talk about the menstruation problems first, and then we'll go into how Ayurveda perspective is.
Yes, yes. When it comes to the menstruation, it is not the problem is not focusing on the bleeding days. Not only that, it is the complete 28 days process. So each phase, the follicular phase or the luteal phase, the ovulatory phase, everything have a particular role, because in each phase some hormones are producing, some hormones are decreasing, and they have to be in that proper channel. Then only the bleeding days should be very good. That is, without any discomfort, we can pass through that bleeding days. We don't need to focus not only on these bleeding days, the complete 28 days we have to focus, because in each phase, according to Ayurveda, it is different. Doshas are predominant. We are
So let's
talking about menstrual
before,
problems.
before we go to the Ayurveda, let's
Yeah,
understand the three phases, right? What is happening in
yeah.
our bodies, all of our bodies in three phases, and then we
Hmm.
say, okay, what does Ayurveda say for three phases?
Yes, yes. Okay, the first phase is, of course, I will go to the bleeding phase. The bleeding phase, it's normally about 1 to 7 days. Okay, it's normal. Up to 7 days, we consider it as a normal things. That is, 2 to 7 is completely normal. And in this bleeding phase, what happens is that the endometrial line, whatever it is shedding out, and it is flowing outside the body. That is, we are releasing that endometrial line. Okay, and the next phase is that is the first stage actually. That is the follicular phase. That
Mhm.
is the follicular. That is the endometrium is making the bed. That is making the bed for the baby. Yeah, it is just adding the endometrial lining. That is the one is, we can say it as a the spring, like of a inner spring inside us. If the bleeding phase is, we can say it as what the shedding phase is. Spring, summer, autumn, and then fall season, like that. And this one is the spring season, that is replenishing and then flourishing. And then we can, from the at that time, the estrogen is increasing. So the estrogen is the one that is replenishing us at that time. What we have is that our energy levels are also a little bit okay. Yeah, we are just getting back to our normal pattern, but that doesn't mean we are having so much energy on that day. But when we went to that ovulatory phase, that is the ovulatory phase, our energy levels are high,
Mhm.
because the estrogen is at the peak, and it then fall down, and the progesterone is taking over the place. And at that time the energy levels are high, means what, we are, the libido is very good, and it is also high, and like that. And in that 3 to 4 days, that ovulatory 2 to 3, like that days is concise, and then we are again get to that luteal phase. At that time, the energy levels is also, the progesterone, according to the progesterone is there, the energy levels is, heat is up, heat is more in our body. The energy, when we are pushing our body too much at that phase, our body is draining, excess drainage will cause us. Okay, that phase. And then we are the, okay, when the progesterone is over, when the endometrial, when the egg is not fertilized, we are getting back to that what, bleeding phase. Like that, these 4 phases are there. These 4 phases are, according to the energy levels, according to the hormones produced, we can adjust our body. We will, if we act according to what that phase we are going through, if we know that what we are going through that phase, we can easily adjust according to that. And if we do the activities and the daily life according to, if we plan like that, it will be easy to go through a good period days. That is good 28 days. We don't need to suffer too much.
Okay, I think this is really good. The way you explained, how the energy levels differ from each of the phases. So let's now come to the Ayurveda, right? What does Ayurveda say for each of the phases, and what can we do, right, to make, to your point, for each of the phases we tailor made it so that we get the maximum potential out of each phase.
Yeah. The We can go to the first phase as a Ritukala, that is the follicular phase. We can go to the follicular phase as first phase, and this in this kala it is called as Ritukala. That is the Kaba is predominant. We are dividing it always as Vada, Pitta, and Kaba. When the Kaba is means Kaba is the one that is building our body, that is building everything that is heavy, building that is completely related to the Kaba. So that phase is high. So in that time, if you feel already our body is in the Kaba stage, if you are feeling, heaviness, if you are feeling low energy, then you have to think that your Kaba is in imbalanced stage. Okay, so you can do that exercise at that time. That is heavy type of exercise at that time, and you can do dry brushing at that time, and you can have warm foods and like that. Not go too much for the cold foods at that time. Like that, you can adjust your diet and lifestyle in that phase. That is Kaba is when the Kaba is imbalanced, all you will feel that the lethargy and all these things. At that time, you know that because after bleeding, we know that we are in a follicular phase. So we have to know that we we have to little bit energy will be there. We have okay, if we feel lethargy, we will go back to think that okay, our Kaba is imbalanced and I have to do something to balance the Kaba. So we will do according to that. And when we go to this ovulatory phase means the Pitta is also there. Pitta is in the luteal phase is also going through this Pitta. So this high energy phase, Pitta is the one that is always energy, and it is heat, and it is the transformation to everything. If the egg is fertilized also, it will help in the transformation to embryo fetus and all these things. This Pitta is responsible. So in that period, the progesterone should be also be in the luteal phase. When we get into the luteal phase, the progesterone is also should be in the high. So if the Pitta means the heat is high, you feel too much, the breast tenderness, the PMS, the premenstrual symptoms. These things arises. You know that the Pitta is in the high stage. According to that, you already the Pitta is high. That is the fire is high. You don't need to push you too much. That is, don't go for too much of exercises, excessive fasting, excessive exercises for long hours, like that. And also taking too much spicy food in that time is also not good for your body. This is the time you have to do some pranayama, shitali pranayama. That is anything that makes your mind and your body, everything cool. You can go for cool foods at that phase. That is in the luteal phase, you can go for a cool foods. And also at that time, if the progesterone is good, you will be stay calm and cool. But if the progesterone have some connection with the stress. So when the stress is there, this progesterone is also going to imbalance and all these things. So stress is always related to Pitta also, the Pitta things. So when we think about modern and Ayurveda, we can easily correlate these things. So in that time, you always go for cool foods and pranayama and mild walking and mild exercises, not go for the heavy type of exercises. Just do this. In the first phase only, we have to go for this heavy type of, in the Kaba phase only, go for this heavy type of exercise. And when we go to the bleeding phase, the Vata is the most predominant. Vata is that anything that is moving is Vata. That is, Vata is always dry, rough, and all these things. And when the Vata is too much, what happens is that you will get scanty bleeding, no bleeding at all. Sometimes you will not get any bleeding at all. If the Vata is more, if the Vata is okay, it is in a balanced stage, you will get correct bleeding and all those things. If it is in a pipe, that is, water is flowing in a pipe, and there are two reasons the flow is not coming out. One is if there is any block is there. Block we can correlate to Kaba. If the Kaba is also increased, that is in the case of PCOS and all those things, the Kaba is increased, then there will not be any bleeding or absence of bleeding. And there are other thing is that if we dry also, that is, there is no bleeding at all. That is from from the tissues, from the reproductive tissues only, these type of, we consider the bleeding, the menstrual bleeding, as the byproduct of plasma. Plasma means the food ingested and the first formed thing. That is called as rasa according to Ayurveda. And the byproduct of rasa is considered as aptama. So when there is no rasa, that is when the when there is vata is increased means dry, and it is, when there is too much dry and cold, what happens is that it constrict the blood vessels also. When it is constricting the blood vessels, cramps also will become increased. Too much cramps will be there, and also when there is dryness, there will not be nourishment of any tissues, and there will not be any menstrual bleeding also. So according to that phase, we are not aggravating any vata. That is, don't go for exercise. If you can stay calm and take rest, slow down, that is the main thing. And also excessive worry also, it is a cause of increasing the vata. That is the thoughts, when it is thoughts is also running from one thing to another. That is also vata. So that is also an increase in the thing of vata. So at that phase also, warm moist foods, especially to nourishing foods, that is ghee, we can add in the diet in the bleeding days. And also don't exercise, just stay, whatever, slow down. That is the main thing, slow down on those days. This is the Ayurvedic way.
So no, I think the way you explain is beautiful. So during the menstruation is the vata, right? Because vata, you said, is the movement, the transport, and that's where the bleeding is happening for all of us. So that time we have to make sure the vata doesn't get imbalanced, right? That's what I understand.
Yes. Yeah. When we get cramps, we know that the vata is imbalanced because it is too much, too much dryness and coldness. What it constrict our body. If we check our hands also, if there is cold water and dry wind comes out, it will mix dryness and it is constricting our skin. Like that, it is constricting our blood vessels also, and like that, the cramps will also increase. And also, scanty bleeding is also a nourishment. The no nourishment of our tissues. It's showing like that. So we have to do the things that is nourishing the vata, that is vata balancing, nourishing our body.
Yeah. So vata balance. Okay. So then you actually touched upon a very important point on PCOS. Not that this topic is not on PCOS. This topic is Ayurvedic perspective on basically menstruation. But the PCOS, most of the girls or women on fertility stages or fertility age, they have kapha imbalance, right? That's what you said. I just want you to elaborate a little bit on what that happens.
I didn't get because it is get
No, so I'm talking about you said about PCOS, right?
Yeah.
PCOS. That is most of the time you said was kapha imbalance. That's what I understood.
Yeah, PCOS can be both type. If you check, lean PCOS is there, the obese PCOS is also there. In the in the lean PCOS, what happens is that it is not kapha imbalance, it is vata imbalance.
Oh, okay.
In the hypothalamic pituitary, the problem is here, not in the uterus or there, ovary or there. That is, the problem is in the hypothalamic pituitary axis in the lean PCOS. Yeah. Because this gonadotropin releasing hormone is not releasing. Okay, so we have to treat there. We don't need to treat here in that type of PCOS. So we can't say the PCOS is always kapha related. It is vata related as well there. According to the symptoms, according to the person, we can feel that. It is not about if the person is lean and having PCOS, not like that. It is vata imbalance will be there in the lean PCOS. In the hypothalamic pituitary axis, if there is any problem, there will be the vata imbalance will be there. We have to find out what type of PCOS is they are coming under, and we have to treat according to that. We can't blindly go and treat PCOS as a kapha imbalance. Vata imbalanced PCOS are also common.
I see, and that doesn't mean that person would be heavy. Weight gain
No,
is
no. According to the symptoms, we can find out that if there is the bleeding and the energy level, these sleep patterns, everything from there we can find out that how their metabolism is affected by vata or pitta, like that.
Okay.
And we have to take according to that.
Correct. I understand. So the main summary, the main thing that you're trying to propagate to the women out there is understand the three phases, right? And during the menstruation cycle, and understand if there are any issues, what the imbalance is, whether it's vata, pitta, kapha, and according to that, eat. Have your diet and also your movement, right? Two things.
Yeah.
Diet and your exercise according to each of the phases, and then things will be a bit better because now you are aligning your body, right, according to each of the phases, what is going on in your body, right?
We are listening to our bodies, mates. That is the thing. Okay. Because okay, when we all know that how our menstrual cycle is look like. So, okay, how, what are the things we are, most of them are dealing with PMS. We know that what are the things, what are the issues we are facing for a long time. So if we note down each day, I feel like that, I feel like that, and then correct according to that, it will be better, it will be easy for you. Okay, it will be easy. That.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, thank
mm,
you. Yeah, no, I think this is very, that this is very informational and helpful to all the women who probably have menstruation problems because, most of the time we don't really, don't listen to our bodies and we just go like we're used to doing exercises. We keep doing that all throughout, but it's important for all of you who are listening or maybe listen later to understand the three phases and listen to your body, how your body reacts in these three phases. And according to Ayurveda, if there is an imbalance, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, you address that with your food and your exercises. And during the menstruation, you said don't exercise. Maybe restorative yoga, would that be okay? Like during the
uh,
when
yeah,
you
sorry, yeah. If your body tell that okay, I can't move, just leave it. And if you're okay, if your energy is little bit there, and you can do some stretching, it's fine.
yeah.
But there is no, but I'm not telling you can, the adhomukha, that is upward direction, because the our flow is in the downward direction. Don't do the upward poses. That is completely against that one. And also avoid that exercise for a long time. And we have to take a meal at the correct time. Don't skip the meals.
I see.
Then also, yeah, the fasting, the excessive fasting is also one of the problems of scanty bleeding, because when we excessive fasting, we are undernourishing our tissues, and it will, of course, it leads to the reproductive thing. So don't go for the excessive type of fastings. And if the person who is traveling long journey in a daily basis, also they will have a irregularity in the periods. It's all because of vata imbalance. Traveling for long distances daily is also a thing of vata imbalance. And worriness, stress, then untimely meal times. Okay, we will do these things. Yeah, when we skip the meals, we will eat some other time. That is also not good. And also avoid, if you are too much having cramps, avoid caffeine at that time, especially the before the bleeding days. You can avoid that thing. And the if you are having scanty bleedings or no bleedings at all, not on the bleeding days, the other days you can have a castor oil packs. Castor oil in the, yeah, castor oil, take it in a just in a cotton cloth or in the normal cotton. Just dip it in the warm water, in the warm castor oil, and place it on or lower abdomen, tie it there. And then you can place some hot water, hot batter bag above that. It will, the castor oil is very high, heavy, and it is penetrating. It has a penetrating property also. So if there is any clots or anything like that, it will help to pump out in then by the next periods. Not during the periods, you don't have to do this, because it is highly penetrating. It will cause too much bleeding. So don't do this period on this period days. Except the period days, you can do that also. If you have irregular periods, or it's nourishing the tissues, nourishing your reproductive tissue. So you can do that thing. And also ginger tea if there is too much pain. And uh, you know then so many Ayurvedic medications are there to, Ayurvedic herbs are there to regulate the menstrual irregularities. And the next these then always add a little bit of ghee in your diet, because it is nourishing the tissues if you're having scanty bleeding and all those things. And try to have warm foods in the bleeding days.
Okay. Okay. I think this is really good tips. Castor oil. Dr. Jeethu is talking about using castor oil on your lower abdomen and
Yeah.
soothing warm teas, like ginger tea, warm foods, nourishing warm foods, and doing the yoga poses that are also restorative, not going up and down, and going like all kind of acrobatics. Stay away from that, right? We all love acrobatics, I know. And then you also mentioned what else? Ayurvedic medicine, don't take that without consultation. Yeah, and
Yeah.
this is an educational session right now. We're just giving you education about menstruation and how you can manage it effectively. That's what we're trying to do. Anything else you'd like to add, Dr. Jeethu, before we wrap up today?
Yeah, don't suppress the natural urges. It is also causing water imbalance. I forgot to tell that.
Okay.
Like depression, urination, and all those things. And to try to reduce the stress also. These are the things I just want to say. This make if we are in tune with the universe, we will be absolutely fine. Try to be a little bit tuned with the universe, not go for extremities, because the late night sleep and all those things, it is an extreme. Okay, so avoid that things. We will be perfectly fine. Our menstrual problems will not arise at all.
Well, thank you so much. And don't suppress your natural urges, your feelings. I mean, let it out. Right? We all have problems like letting things out, but let it out. That requires your feelings as well, your emotions, as well as, if you have to do other things like physical body. With that, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Dr. Jeethu, for being with us. To all the women who have menstruation problem, hope you learned something and you can apply that. A little bit kind of understanding what's going on in your body, and let us know your feedback. We are always here every single day, whether we are on FB or Insta. We are trying to educate all of you to how to learn, how to live a healthier life using natural therapies. With that, I'd like to wrap up this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, dear, for having me here. Bye.
Bye bye.